Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dual Screens podcast. I am one of your hosts, Stephen Fontana, and with me, as always, he's in the other box, but I can't barely touch him. Look, you're so far away, Andy. Hi, Andy. It's Andy Asimakis.
Get your grubby mitts off of me.
I will not. I refuse.
Get those fingies.
I refuse. I am well napped. I wiped the crust out of my eyes, and I'm ready to do the hell out of this show. I'm very excited. Folks, joining us this week is Greg Lobanov, developer of Chicory, a colorful tale, a top-down adventure game in a coloring book world full of vibrant characters. Greg, welcome to the show. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it was awesome. It's awesome to have you here. Actually, we just full disclosure to our guests here, or to our listeners, you had to push this back because you guys had some pretty cool stuff going on tonight. Do you want to share that with everybody before we get the ball really rolling here? Because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, we were nominated for the grand prize in the Independent Games Festival awards, which is really cool. Yeah, it's a really huge honor. Yeah, that's fantastic. And a lot of the of our guests, former guests of the show, obviously, they all strive for that. So congratulations on that nomination. All the recognition is deserved. But folks, if you have no idea what the hell you're listening to or watching, it's very simple. This is the Dual Screens podcast, the internet's #1 indie developer interview podcast, hosted by two people you've never heard of, probably. And the show posts each and every Friday for your listening pleasure on your podcast service of choice, including our home, Podbean, and on a video version on youtube.com/dualscreens.tv. Folks, this is another reminder to please make sure you are subscribed to the correct feed. There are two feeds right now giving you this show. One is from our previous host that for some reason we cannot migrate from. We can't just swap your subscriptions over. It's just a thing that doesn't happen. So you have to go over there and make sure you're subscribed to the Dual Screens hosted one. The RSS feed is a Podbean feed. That is the one you want to go to. It is up there on Apple, Stitcher, Google Play, all that fun stuff. So go ahead and do that. Thank you very much. And now let's just dive right in. Let's get head first into it, Andy. Let's pitch it up to you. Yes.
I have a question.
Yes, we have our ceremonial lead-off question of the show. Go ahead, Andy.
Now, I'm sure Greg has been asked this question 1,001 times since the game has launched. But Greg, what is your favorite food?
Oh, okay. It's Indian curry.
Okay.
Very good.
So I asked that question for a very specific reason.
Interesting. I do not know this reason.
For those who have not played the game, like Steven, for example.
Right.
When you first boot up Chicory, it asks you what your favorite food is. So I was like, okay. So naturally, I typed in the word butt. B-U-T-T.
Yeah, right. Well, your favorite food.
Of course. And it actually kind of is. Unbeknownst to me, that was my character's name. So everyone kept calling me Butt. So here I am on this beautiful, colorful, emotional journey of self-discovery. And everyone just calling me Butt the entire time. This is why I think it's a strong game of the year, considering for that fact alone. But with that said, Greg, what is this game? Why do I love it so much? Tell us all. Tell us everything.
Tell the listeners who have not heard of it.
I can't explain why you love it, but I can explain that the game is essentially a top-down Zelda game in a coloring book world. The story is basically that, it's a black and white world, and there's a magical brush that has the power to fill the world in with color. And so this brush is wielded by this legendary super celebrity artist named Chicory that everyone is in love with. But at the beginning of the game, Chicory disappears, and all the color in the world disappears with her. So you play as Chicory's #1 fan / janitor, and you decide to take up her brush in her absence to try to fill in for her and figure out what happened to her and where all the color went, basically.
Yeah, it's the kind of game that makes me wish I had children while I'm playing it. And Steven, shame on you because you have kids.
There is no video game on Earth. I'm telling you right now, there's no video game on Earth that could convince you to have children after you have children. There is no video game on Earth that could do that for you. Children are wonderful. I love them dearly, but no, I'm sorry. The video games aren't the thing that's going to make you as a current holder of children to continue to want to procreate. Yeah, so you said Zelda, you use that Legend of Zelda in that, Greg. What are we talking about? What kind of mechanics are we talking about? Are we talking about like world design, like how everything kind of fits together, get the item, go to the next thing kind of thing? Like what kind of gameplay are we talking about?
Yeah, the overall structure is very Zelda-like, so but also kind of the moment to moment. It's a top-down camera, so it looks a little bit like a Link to the Past or Link's Awakening is probably our closest comparison. It's very like screen-based, so you're exploring the world in 4 directions. The map's all interconnected. You'll solve puzzles and explore, and then get like new abilities to let you get to new places. And so it goes, right, until you discover the whole map and explore the whole world. So that basic structure is very Zelda-like. There are some differences, like there's no combat in the game moment to moment. It's all about just puzzle solving and exploration and painting. Okay. So the pacing is really different. It's a game where nothing ever jumps out at you or attacks you. You're not expected to do action at any moment's notice. It's really a lot more about taking things at your own pace and exploring and just finding secrets and things.
Cool.
Yeah.
How do you keep the engagement moving forward at a desired pace when you're balancing that as your gameplay mechanics?
The pacing in general for this game is like a really interesting, weird thing, because like different players take this game at a completely like wildly different pace. Some people who are coming at it like as an adventure Zelda game, they tend to be pretty goal oriented, and so like you always know what you're supposed to do next. Like where the next problem is, where the next dungeon or whatever is. So people will like beeline. They'll just go to the next problem. They'll solve the puzzles. They'll beat the bosses. They'll get the abilities. They'll solve the puzzles until they'll get through the whole game in like under 10 hours and generally have a really good experience with it. But then some people will just take their dear sweet time on every single screen, their color in every flower, every tree, every cloud, and like some character will talk to them and be like, oh my god, there's this huge problem and like you have to come save us, and they'll be like, oh yeah, I'll get to that right away. And then they'll just start coloring in some flowers and follow an insect around and help someone design their pizza shop. And then they'll be like, oh my god, wait, there was this really important thing I was supposed to do. I don't remember what it was, and they'll just go back to coloring the flowers or something. Like
yeah, the meteor is crashing down on the world. It's like, oh, but I'm gonna,
but I have side quests. What do you mean? There are question marks on this map.
I'm gonna color inside the lines.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of colors, Greg, what can you define what a tough color is to me? I'm a burning question, because you hear a phrase like "I want tough colors" in the game, like Chicory. I'm like, what does that even like? Blood red, or like, how would you describe that?
Tough colors are whatever colors you decide are tough. Is how we put it. Yeah, because it doesn't really mean anything, right?
I would say any color Bob Ross brought up is a tough color, like Van Dyke blue.
Van Dyke blue, yeah.
Yeah, these like weird like things.
Canary yellow, cerulean, whatever.
So
midnight black, great color. Great color.
Where did this idea come from? Because you're coming off of one of my favorite games ever, Wandersong, which I think I was shocked that this game was actually made by the same person. I was like, oh, the guy that made that awesome game made this game, because that was like a very quiet reception. That game came out, and we're more plugged into the indie scene than most folks are, so we knew about the game when it was released, but it wasn't a lot of fanfare. But this game, it like exploded when it came on the scene. It was like I saw a headline after headline, a news article. It was like wall-to-wall coverage, like a huge difference between releases.
Yeah. I don't fully know how to explain that, to be honest. But I think a big part of it is that a lot of those people who were like, as you say, plugged into the indie scene, like Wandersong it wasn't like it had a huge audience, but a lot of like the tastemakers, like journalists and whatever people like knew about the game and knew it was good, or at least thought it was good. And so even though like at the time of its launch, like there were a lot of reasons why it never like spread super far. I think when we announced that we were working on something else, there were a lot of people who were like, for whatever reason, didn't have a chance to cover Wandersong when it came out, but they were really excited to try to cover the next thing, because they were really excited about it.
They want to get in on it, yeah.
Yeah.
Andy, we heard about that about Wandersong from a previous guest, if I remember correctly.
I believe so.
There was one of our guests, one of our indie developers.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, right. And he's
totally
like,
right.
You know what I'm playing? I'm playing this amazing game, Wandersong. And it goes into like a 15-minute discussion on it, and I can't remember what guest that was.
Oh, flashback! But holy shit!
Absolutely adored it, and that's how it got on our radar. And then we took, it was really cool.
I want to know who that was. I'm really curious.
We have to go. We have to go back.
Go through the archives, track it down.
That's what I'm gonna do. Can we get an intern to do that?
200 interviews, dude. So it might take a while.
At least. Yeah. But yeah, I mean that's very. That's interesting. That's an interesting way to look at it from that lens of like, no, people like the game, but they were kind of late to the party and they don't want to, so they're gonna just be super in tune to what's next. And I mean, that's kind of what happened with us as well. Is like we knew that game, through the grapevine, but we were a little late to the game, and your name was put on a list of like, let's reach out and get him on the show, and Andy's very good with that. Andy chases down every single guest, and his list is floppy disks long.
I was like, Chicory looks dope as hell. I gotta see who made this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. But I remember specifically when we heard about Wandersong, that is why we wanted to get you on the show. It was for that game. And then everything kind of just happened the way it happened. But we're very happy to have you here.
Thank you. I mean, I'm glad. I'm cool that you knew about Wandersong as well.
Yeah.
So where did this magical adventure come from? Was it like always in the back of your mind while you were making Wandersong? How'd you go from songs to the coloring book?
I didn't start thinking about this game until in the space between when Wandersong was finished and before it came out, because there's that weird awkward window where you're not allowed to work on the game and you don't have anything to do. So I started thinking about what I was going to do. And at the time, I guess the idea that I had was just like, making a musical adventure game was really fun. Can you make a game where the main thing you do all the time is just drawing? That was like it was kind of a question. I didn't know if there was like a good game there, but I was just curious if it could exist, because I've played games that had drawing in them before. There are quite a few, but I haven't played a game that mixes adventure with drawing, and also where drawing is like the thing that the main actually way that you interact with everything. And it took a few bad ideas to get to what ended up being Chicory. But yeah, I mean, I was really surprised kind of once I found a lot of the pieces in Chicory, just how well a lot of those things clicked together, and how many cool things that we could do with this game that I hadn't seen done before. So at some point it felt like it was building itself, like it was really fun to work on, and every idea like led to another really fun idea, and that idea led to another fun idea, and before you know it, game's done and huge.
Yeah. Can you explain a little bit about those ideas that became another idea? Can you give us a specific example?
I think the big thing that like made this game work in my head was the top-down Zelda perspective, because before that I was trying things like side scrollers, I was trying like puzzle platformers and physics things and lots of stuff with drawing. But the main problem with a lot of those is that like when okay, so for example, let's say it's a platformer where you can draw platforms, right? Seems really cool. But the problem is like, how do you make, so then like what's a level design? Like what's a really hard challenge where it's really hard to draw platforms to get to the end of the level or something? There's basically none, because you can draw anything, right? So how do you make that hard? I guess you make zones where you can't draw, or you make it so the player has like limited ink or something, so you have so much ink. And I know those games exist, and the way those games play is like they're not a drawing game anymore. It's like a resource management game where you're trying to draw like the just enough platform to make it, or draw around the boundaries of this no draw zone or whatever, right? Like
got it. Yeah.
Then you're not drawing for fun anymore. Now you're just solving a puzzle physics box, right? And drawing is like you don't even remember that you're playing a drawing game. So I was trying to find something where the core interaction like made you like draw for fun, basically, right? Which is hard. But the Zelda thing was like a really cool solution, because then it was like, yeah, the entire screen is a canvas. You can draw and like things interact with your drawing, but you can also draw and things don't interact with that. And there doesn't have to be a limit on how much you draw. Like you can do so much stuff with that. And then once that was figured out, it was like, wow, like you can like the map can show you drawings you've had before, like you remember where you've been before because there's drawings there. Like the way things interact with colors can be really cool, and yeah, etc. So yeah, that was like the core piece that kind of solved it for me.
Yeah, and everything is also persistent, which is like triggers my OCD. Like, oh crap, there's a horrible doodle like 5 screens back that's always going to be there.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, you think of that, like when you were talking about going back to the beginning of like when you were sketching in this game, like that reminds you of like of almost like tickling a little bit of nostalgia, like when you go back at your old drawings as a kid, or I look at my son's drawings from when he started kindergarten to when he finished kindergarten, seeing like the change. Like, yeah, you're not, you know, seeing yourself evolve, you know, with age and mentally, but you're seeing your mechanics that you're learning in the game as you go, evolving and getting better. And so you can go back to that beginning, Andy, and you look, oh my God, what did I do? I was so stupid. And it was only 10 hours ago.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, it was only 10 hours ago you were that dumb caveman.
Yeah, but I think that experience is part of what makes the game really cool. Like, because like in any exploration game like that, coming back to an old area, it always has that sense of nostalgia. Like, oh yeah, this town, I remember when I solved this problem. But yeah, like the fact that it also has the drawings you made at the time, I think gives you this like stronger connection. You know, like you remember how you were feeling, and like the drawings remind you of like, I don't know, yeah, whatever you were thinking at the time. And yeah, I think that part's really cool for this game.
Do you have any fond memories when you were a little one drawing? Like any fond drawing stories that you have?
I drew like crazy when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have, when I go back to like my parents' house is just full of piles of comics. I drew like pages and pages and like hundreds of pages of comics.
Oh, that's awesome.
They were always like, it was like Dragon Ball Z mixed with Zelda, like whatever things I liked as a kid, just all mashed up together.
Yeah, that makes sense. Absolutely, 100%.
They're stupid, but really fun.
No, I'm saying legitimately, it makes sense. Like that was basically my world. It's like let me get Batman versus Vegeta. Let's go. Who's gonna win?
Yeah. So yeah, it's cute to look at now.
How do you build a story that has like some pretty serious tones in such a childish package? Because it's very disarming. Because you go into this game and it's like, here's a brush and you can use like your touchpad to move it around, or your right stick, and it's like, oh wow, I can like draw shit anywhere I want to. And you're this little cute dog in this really cute world, and then like shit gets real at times, and then it becomes
an episode of SVU.
I just wanted to color. I was misled.
Yeah, I mean, well, we don't really set out with the goal of making something that's like emotionally deep or whatever. I think a lot of this stuff, I mean, my aim is just to be genuine to the characters in the story. And like I just try to like let a lot of those feelings develop organically. I mean, in our case, it's like you're playing as this like #1 fan janitor character who's just like lands in this role of the all-important artist wielder who takes the place of her, like, you know, her hero, right? And that's just like, I don't know, to tell that story and not to touch on the things that are going through that person's head as they're dealing with that. It just didn't, it wouldn't feel honest to me. So in some ways it's like, it felt like it came up really naturally. It felt like it was what the game wanted to do. So yeah, I mean, that's how we end up doing that stuff.
I feel like it's all of us, like that hero worship that lives inside every single individual, like someone you look up to, and then being in that role yourself is a little bit strange.
Right. Yeah. There's so much there. I mean, I guess part of it too is that like it, not just me, like everyone who worked in this game, you know, we're all creative types of people, and like we all deal like, you know, like this, you know, no one in this and who worked in the game are the characters in the game one-to-one, but definitely like everything that happens in the game is a reflection of like our experience as creators and stuff. And it's like, you know, just telling a story in the space, it's just hard not to think about, you know, all the ways that this intersects with our life experience and like things that we deal with. So yeah, it just makes us want to talk about it and find a place for those things, because to us, you know, it's all mixed up for us, right? Like it's all like the making of this game and like our personal lives and how we feel about all that. It's all mixed up. So like it all comes together for us, and it goes into the game together too, I guess.
Yeah, I should have known from Wandersong, because that's the kind of game where that story, you have to be in it to love it. And I love that game story. So I should have known that this was going to be some sort of emotional journey. But again, it's just when you go in there and it's like, it's not going to make me cry, or is it? I can't. I'm too emotional over here in my household these days.
I hope it's enjoyable.
It is. I think that's the cornerstone. Like if you can evoke that kind of a reaction, it's something is being done very, very right. And even through that emotional experience, it's all joy. Because I feel like when a game can get that response from me, it's firing on all cylinders. and that's what this game does.
But yeah, I mean, I'm glad that it meant something. Also,
yeah.
I'm gonna switch gears just a little bit because we have a lot of we have aspiring developers that listen to this show all the time, and nobody just wakes up and is like, I made Wandersong. Like, that doesn't just happen. So why don't we go back, hit the rewind button, tell us how you got into game development. How did you get started?
So I mean, like I talked about how I always drew comics as a kid. Like I've always been really into making stuff. And aside from doing comics, I actually was also like pretty obsessed with drawing, like making like board games and card games and stuff. Like I have like a Yu-Gi-Oh knockoff card game that I made, and board games and stuff. Like crap. I mean, it's crap. It's just like markers and scissors and glue holding things together. But it was really like I just always I loved making that kind of stuff. And so when like I got really into making games because I got a computer. I learned how to program like HTML, and then I started Googling around for like how to make games, and found software called Game Maker that lets you make games. And that's still the software that I use right now to make Wandersong and Chicory. So it's just like, for me, it's kind of been something that I've always been like I've always loved doing. And it kind of was like it wasn't until late in high school when I realized that this thing that I just love doing for fun could be a career of some kind. But yeah, like in a way, like it's something I still try to stay in touch with those like that. Like I try to think of myself that way when I think about like making games and stuff. Right? Like for me, it's a thing that I do because I love it. That like as a passion, and not like because it helps me remind myself to have fun doing it too. Right? That I'm not just doing it like for like a job or whatever.
Right, and you've had that point in your life where rent was uncertain. Like, can I pay my rent bill this month?
Oh yes.
And I'm making this awesome game. Like,
absolutely,
how do I juggle these two things right now?
that was me for a really, really, really long time. Until like long after Wandersong came out, when it suddenly things kind of shifted and became comfortable. So it's been like, honestly, working on Chicory was a really new experience in that way as well, where I was for the first time like certain that I could finish the game, and like I was gonna be able to pay my rent the whole time, and pay everyone who worked on it and on time and everything. So that was really different and really cool, and I'm grateful for that. Like I don't take for granted how lucky that is. But yeah, for a long time, like it wasn't super easy, and I think even like if I think about like what made me get to the point that I'm at now, I mean, I think it really was like I spent a long time making games that weren't that great, and even though I loved it, even though like it was so important to me, like the games I made weren't always that great, and I just had to try and fail and try again, and just like eke my way up bit by bit and make things that were just slightly better and just slightly better until I made something that was like really worth people's time and kind of broke through. Yeah, like if I was starting out now, like it's like there's no easy route to it. At least there's no easy route that I know. Some people, I guess, like fall into success, but that didn't feel like it was the case for me. It really felt like I was around for a long time trying until we landed here.
Yeah, a lot of the times we don't see the failing up the hill. Like we don't really see that as consumers or even as pundits. We don't really see that. But you lived it every day. But what we see Wandersong and we see Chicory. Like that's what we saw. So you're obviously doing something very, very right throughout that process. So that's got to be something that gives you confidence when you're thinking on your next project. No?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I feel like on the next, like I feel more certain that the next project I can do something. Like I think the big difference, honestly, is that before Wandersong, like I spent a lot of time working on games that had a really small scope that I knew at any time I could say, okay, like the game has to come out like this in the next couple of weeks because like I need money basically, right? So I was always thinking like, well, it's for my fast outs to get money as soon as possible kind of thing. And then Wandersong was like the first time where I had a bit of runway. We had a Kickstarter that was successful, and I was able to say, okay, like I can spend a year or 2 years on this game and really try to make something bigger. And then for Chicory as well, it was the same thing. It was like I can breathe. I can spend like almost 2 years on this project and really make something cool. And I have that again on the next game, right? I know that I can spend at least a year or two working on it and not have to work. It won't be like a problem. I'm not going to be bankrupt at the end of it. And that's like, yeah, it's just yeah, it's nice.
What was it like when a publisher came knocking on your door, when Finji was like, hey Greg, why don't you come over here? We like what you're doing with this Chicory thing. it fits our catalog of awesome games. What was that experience like for you getting courted by a publisher?
Incredible. I mean, with Wandersong, we actually worked with the publisher as well, with Humble, and we spent a lot of time. Like again, it's like the experience was so different because, like on Wandersong, it was like we had like a barely successful Kickstarter. We like went for 2 years, and like I was like seriously almost out of money. I was like I need funding, and I was like talking to publishers like as an unknown person making this musical adventure game that in a made up genre that has never been done before. Like it was really hard to convince people why it was worth their time. And another thing, it also is just like because our team is so small and like our budget was so small, like honestly that was actually a problem going to publishers, because what publishers look for is like they want to make a big investment on a big team that's going to make big money. Like they want to give you like $1 million and make like the next like Fortnite or something, right? And I'm like, hey, I just need like 10 grand to make like the next few months of rent, like and like what's the minimum thing that I can give you for this money, like please, like kind of thing, right? So like with Wandersong, it was really, and it was challenging in a lot of ways, whereas with Chicory it was complete opposite, where like I was like, I don't even think I need a publisher, like we'll be okay. Our Kickstarter did really well, and like our team is still small, we can afford it. And then like Finji reached out to us and they were like, hey, we really want to work with you. And even then I was like, well, like I mean, like you're very cool, but like do we need a publisher in this relationship until like
wow, what a flip. Like I don't know.
I know,
that.
yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. But like talking to them and looking at what they had to offer and stuff, it was an easy choice to make. Like they added so much value to the team, like so many things we could not have done without them. Like I have no regrets about it, but again, like it's just the total difference in our situation, right, was so apparent even there. And like honestly, it was a bit of a dream come true working with Finji. Like I've known Adam and Becca who run kind of the publishing side of it. I've known them for a long time. Like I really respect their taste in games. I mean, their work in games. Like I think they're really cool people who are really smart. And for them to say like, that they like what we're doing and they like our games and they want to work with us, I mean, that's a really big deal. Like it means a lot, especially because like they don't publish very many games. Like they literally have like 3 projects at a time or something, and each one really like they sign up because it means something to them, right? It's not like an investment they're trying to like make a double return on or something.
Yeah, they're not just trying to flip the property.
Right.
Yeah, which is how we felt working with their publishers or talking to their publishers, right? Like for them, it's seriously like they do it because they want these games to exist and they really love them, and that's it's totally different. Like that's really honestly like a big reason why we felt good working with them, is because that's how we want to make our games, right? That's how we think about them, is like they really are like works of love and passion for us, and like the people who work on them are friends, and we want it to feel like that. It's not like a business enterprise.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Can you get a little granular about what the publisher? I'm sorry, what was the name of the publisher?
Finji.
Finji?
Yeah.
What did they bring to the table specifically? Give a small example of something that you feel like you couldn't have gotten this game completed without.
I mean, if you want all the details, I mean, so for one thing,
give me a couple of granular details, because like we like to get behind the curtain a little bit and see how the sausage is made.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, like okay, QA was a huge thing. Like we did not have QA on Wandersong, or we had very little of it. Like it literally was just me playing through the game. But with Finji, like they have full-time people who just do QA, and that means like,
I mean, that's huge.
Quality assurance. Like they play through the game over and over again. They find issues. They get really good at it. They get really good at finding the problems. That was a really huge difference. Like they found so many issues that I know that had I been doing this myself, I would not have found until the game had come out and had caused problems for a lot of players. So like this game, when it came out, we had way more people playing the game at launch, and we had way fewer bugs reported than Wandersong. And that's like, it's a huge, like it just meant our launch was so much less like stressful, and that's like invaluable. And the other thing is like a publisher like that, like they do a lot of like they basically talk to the big platforms for us. So like when Sony says like, hey, we want to put your trailer in a show, or Sony says, hey, like whatever, like we want to have this feature on the console, or like, hey, we want you to localize this language, or whatever, like anything that like any conversation that happens between Sony and like things they want from our game or whatever, like that's something the publisher basically like they do all the communication on that stuff.
Right.
So like basically they answer emails to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't answer nearly as many emails as I had to on Wandersong, or as I would have had to, like, had we, not come to work with a publisher. And that is also invaluable because like my time basically just goes towards making the game as good as possible. And Finji handles like, like finding out what needs to be done and what doesn't need to be done, when our deadline is, like what trailers need to be done, when, how long do they have to be, what resolution do they have to be in, like whatever. Right? Like they know that stuff, and they just give me like the basic instructions so we know what to do next, right? And that stuff is really, really helpful. Like it's like, it's crazy actually how much of the game that is, right? Like how much work they are doing that I don't have to do. And how much, and I appreciate that. I really appreciate that.
It's kind of like a band manager in a way. Like the band just wants to write music and play the shows. Like they don't want to figure out how to get to the venue. Yeah, what the gate split is, like,
or where they're playing.
Like they just want to go and do the show and like that.
Yeah, give me the dates, give me the van, give me the gas, right?
Like exactly. Give me the driver, whatever,
Yeah.
That's really helpful. Like we of course you're gonna hear horror stories of publishers, and you alluded to it that some didn't give you the warm and fuzzies based on whether it's first impressions or their offers or what they could bring to the table. Without saying names, can you give us an example of something that just didn't feel right to you? Like what made it not a good fit for you?
Well, on a basic level, like some publishers are just gonna try to get money out of you, right? So they'll give you terms that are like extremely in the publisher's favor, and like it can be like in some, like in some publishers out there, are not even probably just investors, situations can be really predatory because they'll offer you a huge amount of money and it can be really appealing to somebody who is in a crisis and needs a lot of money, but then it comes with strings attached, right? It's not like you just get that money and now you have money. It's like you get that money and then you don't make money when your game comes out. Like all the money forever belongs to a publisher, kind of thing. Like that's on a basic level. And I really value like having ownership of my game after it's out, right? Because that's like the most sad thing is when you put all this love and effort into a game and it comes out and it's like you realize that you don't even own any part of it anymore, right? Like this publisher owns everything that comes from it, and like stuff that came up with Wandersong, and like I can't, like I don't this is like, it's not like it's even this is not like a predatory thing, it's not like a manipulative thing, it's just like a fact of these kinds of relationships. Like putting out patches for a game that's been out for a long time, if it's not making a lot of money, like at some point the returns on that effort start to go down. And the cost of the time it takes, so for example, like Wandersong has a couple bugs in it, they're really obscure, like very, very few people will get it, and very few people are even playing the game now, right? So it's like like a percent of one in every 1,000, so like in 2 years time, like 2 people will see a bug like this kind of thing, right? So like so there's weird crashes you can get to, and there's things that I would probably fix if it was just me deciding this stuff, right? But it's not just me, because to do it, like we have to hire a programmer in, and that's like budget, and that's on the publisher's side of things to do that. And the programmers they're working on their projects right now, and to pull them off of those projects to work on a patch for 2 crashes for this game that's been out for 2 years, like that kind of thing. It's like,
sure.
Right. So it's not even it's not like they're evil, but it's like because there's this middleman in the way, because this stuff isn't decided by me personally, because it's like a factor of budget, of time, of resources, and not just like I want to have the best game out there because I love it. Like things, that's how like you can end up with a game that's like missing a couple of fixes on a console or something, right? Like
right.
Yeah, I don't know if that was really boring, but that's what
the show's about, man. This is what the show's about.
Yeah,
we're not going to get a Chicory Splatoon Battle Royale game in the near future.
No, I don't think so.
Since you own the IP and not some like mega evil conglomerate that wants to like monetize it the shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah.
I do want to ask though, like getting this game on PlayStation consoles. Are you in those chats at all with Sony, or is it just all on Finji's end?
So it really was basically just on Finji, and that was like a big deal for me. So like it's like they would just say things to me that would like blow my mind. Like, oh yeah, by the way, Sony like wants you to like launch like exclusively on their console, and like they're making offers like this, and they want to put your trailer like in E3 or whatever like stuff. And it's like I'm like this, we're just 5 people making a game about a painting dog, right? Like
my game.
Yeah, like say, you mean Sony? Why? Like the company? Like
I think you meant to say Sunny.
Yeah,
Sony is
your friend Sonny, right? Like,
Not like, is it Sony, the cheap knockoff?
Is it the Polystation 5? I'm confused.
Yeah.
Goodness.
So yeah, like that, and that is how that information reached me. Is like they're just like, yeah, we're in communication with Sony, and they said this, and it's like, okay, holy shit. So I guess that's real then. Like, yeah, and like, and then that's like again a huge part of it, because obviously like we're not talking just to one platform. We're talking to a lot of people about a lot of different possibilities, and like they have the purview to talk to all these different people to find out all of what's available and help us figure out like what is like we have options, and what is the best of these options, like how do we get the best outcome for this game, and for everybody. And like just like the fact that like it's not just that they're doing it for me, it's also they're really wise. Like they have experience, they've seen like a million deals before, and they know when something's good and they know when something's not, and they can help me know like that I'm walking into something that's like a good idea for me, right? And like that's deeper than just like business knowledge and like an investor trying to make a return. That's like people who really have experience and care about this game's outcome, and like want us to like have a good outcome for us, right? Like they're making this decision, like like because like for example, like there's you could get an offer that's like, hey, like we'll like how do I put this, like like they're thinking about like what's a reasonable deadline for this team to work on, right? Like how much time do we need? And like sure, like they say they'll give you X amount of dollars to do this, but like is X amount of dollars enough to actually do what they're asking us to do? And like can we get more to do that thing? Like they're thinking about our health and our team safety, and like what's actually going to make us happy, right? Like what's good for the game and good for the fans, and what do people actually want? And like they know they're factoring all this stuff in, right? It's not just trying to make a return on investment, basically. Like
yeah. So when we're plugged into the Twitter troll scene as best, and a lot of arguments that come down about, there's a lot of arguments currently about big publishers or the console makers, or whatever you want to say. I mean, we'll just call it like it is, the Sonys of the world, the Xboxes of the world, and the Nintendos of the world, that go and purchase console exclusive rights, whether timed or not, whatever. Can you explain to people who, for example, there are some people that say, I hate, why would a developer do this? They're taking their game away from other people that could play it. And they're like, oh, they're greedy developers just taking the pot of money because they, what do they care? Or, I mean, you get it. I'm sure you see it whenever, because I mean these studios, they're always buying and selling and all this other stuff. So can you explain from your perspective as a 5-person team what advantages a Sony coming to you and saying, or we want you to make something for our E3 and we want you to be on our console exclusively, and what that looks like from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, stuff like that. There's a million different ways to look at it, really. But I mean, like the one thing that I would say to anyone who like really feels like insulted by that stuff, first of all, is that like these games mean a lot to us. Like no matter how much excited you think you are about this game, like the people who are working on it, like we are more excited and more in love with this game than you are. And like like we're not making decisions like to like try to trick you or like steal from you, right? Like we're thinking about the best interest of like we care about this game, we want to have the best outcome for it. So like when we're making decisions like this, like we're thinking about what's best for the project. And like in the case of Chicory, I mean, okay, so like when someone like Sony offers to put you in something like E3, for example, like that's an opportunity that I can say that like is very rare. Like we could not have gotten that same opportunity had we worked like with other platforms or whatever. And it makes a big difference for us because like we're not a big name studio, and like if we were in E3, there's a lot of people who would have no idea that our game existed that know about it now, right? And that means a lot more to us than being on X platform like right now, basically, right? So that stuff is really valuable, and not only that, but it's also like there's stuff that I can talk about and I can't talk about, but there are definitely like invisible ways that it makes the game better when we have like I don't know what I can say that we get, but like we are, I can say that the game is better. I can say that we made a better game, that we were able to make a better game. Like like I talked about, like funding from Kickstarter and stuff like that. I mean, just like having more time to like work on this project and to like refine parts of it, to add features for things and whatever. Like, yeah, we end up with something that we're happier with. That, and in the long term, I think like makes a better product. The fact that like our reviews are so good right now, like I think that reflects the fact that we had like a lot of breathing room basically to make the project that we wanted to, and that wouldn't have been possible without like partnerships that we've had. So like, yeah, it's a big deal.
It sounds like you had, you know, the phrase "too many hands in the cookie jar."
I've heard that. Yeah.
It sounds like you have a lot of hands putting cookies in the cookie jar.
Yeah,
that's what this sounds like. It's like, hey, no, here's a couple of cookies, man. No, you got this. Go do your thing. Pour yourself a glass of milk and enjoy. You know,
that jar is a little empty. I'm gonna put a few more in there while I'm at it.
It really is how it feels like right now. And and again, like, I can't emphasize like how grateful we are for how lucky we've been with the opportunities that we've had, and again how different it was from working on the last thing. And I really do think a lot of it is like a lot of people were really big fans of Wandersong, and like we're just like, I'm so sorry that we didn't get to fund your, like Finji was like, you know, we loved Wandersong and we had 3 games coming out at the time. We would have loved to publish you then. Please can we publish your next game? You know, it was like,
oh wow.
You know, and it was like I had no idea that you even liked Wandersong. You know, like like, and like a lot of the conversations that we had with platforms, like that's how it started. Like Greg Rice runs the PlayStation Indie Reach Out, and like he was one of the biggest proponents for Wandersong after it came out. Like he loved, like after the game came out and he played it with his kids, and he was like, I love this game so much. Like, how can I help this game like go farther? And and then he like ended up getting a job at Sony, and he was like, Chicory, like, please let me get on this. Like, I will like I want to give you guys the best opportunity I can. Like,
that's awesome.
I want, yeah. So like so many of the conversations kind of started off on that foot. It was like, hey, like, you know, we sorry we missed out on Wandersong. Can we help you this time? Like, kind of thing. And it is really, really heartwarming.
It's like the best problems to have in this industry.
Yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, it's like, yeah, I can definitely say that when Wandersong came out, like there was a bit of a hopeless feeling at the time. It was like, you know, like I thought the game was really good and I really did care about it a lot. And like that feeling of just like, how do you reach people? Like, how do you let people know like that this game, like, I don't know, that this game is good. But of course there's a million games coming out every day, and a lot like there's so many good games, right? So like, you know, it's not like we were, it's everyone struggles with this, right? It's not just us.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it's crazy because I never envisioned at the time when the game was coming out and just seeing how slow things were, I never thought that we would somehow get to this, that I would get to be at a point where I was like, everyone loved Wandersong and we got so many opportunities out of it. Like, it just didn't seem like that was going to happen for us. So yeah, life has a way.
Are you seeing more folks like going back who haven't played Wandersong, knowing you made that game? Some more sales being picked up, like, oh, these guys, they made Chicory this other game. I'm gonna go pick that up as well.
Anecdotally, yes, I have seen that. I haven't actually checked our sales numbers to see if they like bumped up or something. But
I'm go. Come on, do it live. Doing it live.
I don't feel like plugging into all that stuff. But I suspect that there probably was like the slightest little bump on it, and I bet it's gonna go up as like Chicory's around for a long time, right?
That's nice.
Yeah,
that's really nice.
All right, Andy, it's time.
Oh boy,
it's time to slip into
it's time.
Our comfortable rapid fire pajamas, and it's now time to really get to know you, Greg, because that's what's important here. We got we got some psychological stuff out of you. We got to feel what's inside your heart,
the business mentality.
Yeah, we got your acumen down, I believe. But now we're gonna find out who the real you is.
Oh boy!
In our rapid fire section here.
Oh, I'm ready.
So I'm
excited.
You're gonna give us the answers that come to your mind. If you feel like expounding, please do.
Yes.
But for the most part, it's this or that. It's quick answers. You know, do whatever you got. Okay. So we're gonna kick you. We're gonna give you a softball here. Softball answer. Flight or invisibility?
Flight for sure.
Okay. See that? There you go. It's a simple softball. Put it on a tee for you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Another softball. Pineapple on pizza? Yes or no?
Yes. Oh my god.
Yeah, you seem like a pineapple on pizza guy. That's why I like you. Oh my god.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why I like you.
I put mango on pizza before too, and that's quite good.
Okay.
If you're looking to expand your territory.
Strange texture, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Mango has a very tough, you know. I don't know. Maybe it's just.
Well, once it's baked, it gets pretty soft.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So you're putting it in the. Yeah, I get it. Okay.
Yeah,
no, that's good.
I mean, it's softer than pineapple.
Have you tried peaches? Right? Peaches sounds like it might be good.
I'm not a peach fan, but I bet to the right person it'd be good. Yeah.
That's good.
Now you mentioned though, apples on pizza, like because cheese and apples is great, right?
Cheese and apples is fantastic.
Some brie and cheese, that's like a great killer combination.
Brie and apples, you mean, not brie and cheese?
Yes, brie and apple, yes.
Yeah,
brie and additional cheese. Yes.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No, I guess not. I mean, it's a hot dog.
Yes.
Okay.
See, he's not a sociopath.
No, not a sociopath. This is good. So far, so good, man.
Let's see. What is the dumbest way you've ever injured yourself?
The dumbest way I've ever injured myself? I mean, I don't know what qualifies as like. I mean, I feel like every injury that I get is like has a little bit of stupidity associated with it, right? Like, I have a chip on my tooth from. Let's see, it's not stupid though. Okay, wait, what's like? Well, I'll tell you, the chip on my tooth was from like I like woke up in the middle of the night one time when I was in like high school, and I like was like thrashing from a nightmare, like bumped my like head on the side of the bed.
That's pretty stupid.
My tooth in the middle of the night. I guess it's stupid, right?
You got
really
a sleep injury? Yeah, that's pretty stupid.
Okay.
That's like the most passive thing you could do in your life is sleep, and you hurt yourself. So yeah, that's pretty dumb.
I gotta ask, do you recall what the nightmare was?
No, and I don't. I've never had something intense like that happen to me again. Wow. Like it's not like a normal thing. I don't know.
Because I've had a few night terrors, but I remember exactly what went on in those scenarios. Like it's like embedded in my brain forever.
Yeah, maybe the sad thing is it probably wasn't even that scary. I think it was just that I like fell off I like thrashed in just such a way and fell off the bed in just such a way from a not even scary thing, right? That's not even memorable. But my tooth remembers.
Now that's why it's dumb.
Yeah.
Close your eyes and imagine the most lovely thing you could think of. What is that thing?
I imagine having like a pina colada on a beach, I guess, which is probably pretty basic, right?
That's pretty good though. But that's very calming.
You know, that is like my drink of choice right there. A nice pina colada on the beach, no less. Oof.
Yeah. There's a part 2 to this question. Don't worry.
But yeah, it came really fast. So I bet if I thought for a long time, I'd think of something way more overwrought. But that was the instant answer. Yeah,
that's paradise. Is it okay to sleep with your socks on?
No. I mean, it's okay if it's
personally hurt by that.
He was like, "Ooh,
it's okay if you do, but don't make me."
Like, I don't want to kink shame you, but no, I don't do that kind of shit. Not in my house.
Okay.
For me,
Part 2 of my previous question. Close your eyes.
Okay.
Picture the most horrifying thing you can. What is it?
Geez, some kind of. I mean, I think just puking in general, probably, to be honest.
You're not a vomit fan.
But puking something, I guess, particularly bad, right? Like, yeah, I guess.
What was that movie, Andy, with the cannibal dancer?
Cannibal dancer.
The ballet, right? It was like a ballet camp, and like she vomited the person's hair.
Am I blanking on this movie? That sounds like a really good movie.
I know you saw it, but that always freaks me the fuck out. Just even thinking about that. Just okay. Go ahead, Andy. It's your go.
Go into that later. All right. So you're on the beach, Greg, and you've had a few too many coladas.
Okay.
What word best describes you when you're drunk?
I'm quite friendly. Yeah.
I like it friendly.
I'm an energetic, friendly type for sure. Yeah, yeah. And I think it just gets amped up more until I like crash.
Mysterious man in a business suit shows up at your door with a giant binder. Says anything in this binder, any IP that's in this binder, you can make a game for. They slap the binder. They're like, we got it. It's yours. The IP is yours for one game. And you look at the title of the binder, and it's IP of my childhood, of Greg's childhood. What IP are you choosing from your childhood to make the next game for?
Pokemon. 100%.
Wow, that was quick. I like that. That's a great answer. That's a great answer.
If there's no way that would let you do whatever you wanted with it, but if I could, I would. I would do some things.
Oh no, this is a magic genie with a binder. Like he's like, you could do whatever you want. It's your IP for one game. Nobody tells you what to do.
That's the choice for sure.
Hell yeah.
You should start a Pokemon fan game and do a poll as to how soon Nintendo shut your ass down.
Yeah.
Let's see. So I was going to ask you, what would your dream collaboration be if you could pick one developer to work with on your next project?
Does it have to be a game developer?
Oh, anyone you could think of. Anyone. There's there with you.
Man, actually, wait. Okay, now I have to really think about that. Because I feel like, oh my gosh, I feel like I spend so much time getting excited about random people that I would like love to work with. But then you actually ask the question, it's like, who would I actually? I mean, okay, like there's kind of two sides. Okay, this is the boring answer is that like a working relationship with somebody is more than just like their talent. So like even though I might be a fan of someone's work, it doesn't mean that I necessarily like, you know, our work, like we'd actually work really well together. And I find that I work really well with people I'm friends with. That said, I think it'd be really interesting to work with, I'm going to pull this out, but the guy who draws One Piece, Ichiro Oda.
Okay. Interesting. All right.
Actually, or the artist who does Haikyuu, actually.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah. It's a manga about volleyball. But anyway, both those artists, I mean, like in general, I find people who draw manga are like I just admire so much of what they do because they do so much. Like their art is amazing, obviously, and their ability to like spin amazing stories and like every week and just be so creative, I think is really interesting. Yeah. And I think it's really interesting to work with somebody who's just like that creative.
No, that's a great answer.
I love it.
That's a really good answer. Is cereal and milk a soup?
No. I mean, like, I don't really care, but like, I don't think so.
Who am I to judge? Who am I to
love
judge?
Like that layer of regret. Like, oh, what was I just asked? Like, no, of course it's not a soup. What is your favorite co-op game of all time?
Oh man, my favorite co-op game. What's a good co-op game? Alexis over here.
No, it is not.
I feel I can't actually recall playing a lot of co-op games that I really loved, which feels Oh yeah, actually Wilmot's Warehouse is a really good co-op game, shockingly. We played that one. That's another Finji published game. But that one was like and that's been a while now since that game came out. But it's been a while since I had any co-op experience that was as good as that one.
Which game? Say that again.
Yeah.
Wilmot's Warehouse.
Wilmot's Warehouse.
It's a game about organizing a warehouse. It's like just a 2D game. Oh. It's like it's quite simple, but I played it with Alexis, who we worked together on Chicory as well, and it's actually like an inspiration for like the fact that we included co-op in our game. But it's nice because it has a really good pace of like parts that are timed and parts that are completely untimed and free.
Cool.
And it's like the basic like format of the game is like you have this big like it's just a top-down game that's just boxes in this huge warehouse. You're just a little like square and you can just move boxes around. And so you get deliveries, you get just deliveries of just like boxes of stuff, and the boxes are just like an icon of like a bird or a monkey or an apple or something. You can move them wherever you want, you can organize them however you want, and that's like you spend as much time doing that as you want. And then you start taking orders in. This part's timed. People come to you and they say, hey, I need 10 apples. I need 5 birds. I need 10 worms or whatever. And you, in the fastest time possible, have to go and find 10 of that thing and give it to the person. It's like that simple. But as a co-op game, it's really nice because the free organization times, like you get a lot of time to just discuss stuff with your like fellow partner, like as if you're solving a puzzle, right? And it's like a conversation. It's totally open ended question. It's not like there's a right answer. It's not like somebody can say, hey, like this box has to go there or this has to go there. It's like do you think this apple should go with the lemons or with the oranges? Like, oh, does this bird belong in the animal section or in the nature section? Like whatever, right? like you get to like you so it's like it's nice that way. And then when the deliveries come in, like it's a lot of trust building. You're like, okay, I'm gonna go get the worms. You got the lemons. Like, go grab that stuff and like.
What is that person making?
Yo, this game looks so fucking cute. I love it. I'm watching a video right now. Oh my god, I'm gonna buy it. $15 on Steam.
Do it.
Boom.
That's how you sell games.
You're welcome, Finchi.
Yeah. It's legitimately really good though. It's a really good game.
That's fantastic. I think that's going to bring us to the end here, Andy. So do you want to give our final ceremonial final question?
Oh, no.
Yes.
I don't like this part because it's been a really good show.
It's an excellent show.
It's been a lot of fun, but
I learned a lot today.
All good things must come to an end.
Indeed.
And this is the perfect question to ruin everyone's free time. So, Greg, it's a simple question. I would say simple in its structure and its choice, but deep and complex in its ramifications and consequences.
I'm nervous.
Right? And the question is, Andy or Steven?
Oh, well, I mean, I can see Andy's face, so...
Fucking kid.
Done.
Every time, man. Every single time.
See, Steven, fix your shit so we cannot give them that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I unplug and plug in that camera again to try and get it to connect, I'm going to lose everything. All the cameras are going to stop. The microphone's going to stop because my computer is literally held together by duct tape. We're trying to figure it out, folks. But
I mean, I can promise that I'm gonna find some bullshit reason to. I'll look at something in your background or something to decide it, right? Because I don't know. I can't value you as people. You both seem really nice.
I have a cat T-shirt on where the cat is wearing a bandana across its face, like both a COVID quarantine mask and that he's a little robber gonna rob a train. That's kind of cute, right?
It sounds really good. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. You could be lying to me, right? Because I don't know you that well.
That was pretty specific.
And but you could, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Very well rehearsed, also.
All right, folks, that's going to bring us to the end of the show. If you like what you are watching here, please hit the thumbs up, subscribe to our YouTube channel, subscribe to our podcast feeds, and spread it with your friends. Please tell everybody. You think it's hard to get people to notice a game? Try a podcast where there's like 50,000 of those put up every hour. We love to interview developers. We love to know about indie games, the ins and outs of it, and we cannot do it without all of your support. And if you want to support us with your hard-earned money, just $1 helps us out, and you can go to patreon.com/NDS podcast. And we want to thank our 3 Patreon producers who have been keeping this train a-going, and that's FNH Paul, Colton the Apprentice Nestler, and Vegas Girl on Fire. Remember, all of our Patreon producers get a shout out every single show, so thank you so much, guys, for doing that. We love you very, very much. If you want to follow us on social media, I'm at Batchild, Andy's at Pants Guy. Our show is at Duel_Screens. Our Facebook group is facebook.com/groups/DS podcasts. Greg, where can everybody follow you? Where could everybody follow Chicory? And anything else you want to plug? Now is the time.
I am at Lobanov on Twitter, and my website is greg.style. And if you want to look up Chicory stuff, then yeah, I would just Google search Chicory: A Colorful Tale. It's at Chicory on Twitter and chicorygame.com. And yeah, we're available on Steam for Windows and Mac and PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. So,
ooh, baby, check
it out.
Those high textures, those next gen Chicory textures, those colorful textures, and
now with ray tracing.
Now with ray tracing, indeed. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, listeners. Thank you, viewers. And as always, please be excellent to each other.